Legion Gaming. I'm your host, Don, and I am joined by my co-host, Deucy, today. Deucy, please say hello.
Hello, everyone.
Deucy, how are you doing this afternoon?
Oh, pretty good. Just trying to stay awake after a week long of eating.
Yeah, as of this recording, Thanksgiving was just a couple days ago, so I think I'm pretty good from the food coma duration, but it sounds like you might be still a little bit hungover from the Thanksgiving festivities.
Just so much turkey.
So much turkey, yes. Yeah, pretty cool. So not much turkey on our episode today. Today we're covering a very special game for us. It's Aladdin on the Sega Genesis.
We're not doing South Park with all the turkey fighting?
Oh, we could. No. Well, we could do that, but maybe it'll be like... That'd be kind of cool, like a naughty list Christmas game list, where it's just a bunch of crap.
Yeah.
But in this case, we're not playing any crap. We're playing actually two very awesome games. We're going to go through the history of them, and then most importantly, the comparisons between the two. And that's Aladdin for the Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo, which are both celebrating their 30th anniversary this year, which is pretty insane. But before we get to that, we like to cover what we've been playing recently. So, Deucy.
Let's see. What have I been playing? I'm still doing Forza Motorsport because that never ends.
Yeah, I'd imagine the career mode in that's pretty freaking long.
Yeah, right? I like how it's been sectioned out, though. You know, you just do 5 or 6 races at a time for each cup, and I tend to do 1, maybe 2 before my hands get tired.
It's your own little endurance race.
Yeah, I'm not a spring chicken anymore. I can't do the endurance races that I did back in Gran Turismo days. I've also been playing some Resident Evil 4 still. Just pick it up every once in a while and play from maybe like one save state or save typewriter to the next. It's weird how that can be just an easy pick up and play game and then put it back down.
It really shouldn't be either. And does that also have quick resume too? Does that help? Because I know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because it's the same on PS5 where it has basically their version of quick resume, and it helps because I find myself getting back into games easier if there's longer checkpoints when I just pick up where I left off because of rest mode.
Yeah, and that's been about it. Also Mario Wonder. I'm in the last world finally, getting. I don't know how many levels are in that, but it's a lot more linear than some of the other worlds were. But I'm in the Bowser world.
There is, but you can also unlock. I don't want to say unlock, but there's also a lot of levels that you can discover because you don't have to beat all of them to get to the end. Because I finished it, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, and I really loved it from beginning to end. Like there probably isn't any levels that I would say shouldn't be in there. I think all the levels are pretty good. Some of them are easier than others, which is fine. But I think the game is just freaking exceptional from beginning to end. And then I did all the special courses too, which are really fun.
Yeah.
And that was it. Oh, I guess that was it. Mario Wonder. Okay.
Yeah.
So for me, what I've been playing. So let's see. Since we recorded, I was talking about Alan Wake 2. I finished that recently, which is really awesome. I had to turn it down to story mode in some instances because I thought it was a little too difficult and normal, and I just wanted to get to the story.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so that was really cool. The story was really awesome. Unfortunately, like once you beat it, there's not a whole lot to do after you finish it.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, which is kind of cool, but it's like I don't know. I enjoyed it enough that I wish there was a little bit more extra. I'm sure there's DLC coming for that. Let's see, and then I got Mario RPG and I finished it. That was like a sprint because.
It's so weird how back in the day that would take me months on Super Nintendo, and then I would die so many times I would have to go back and grind, and now you can just speed run it practically.
Well, and for me it was really hard too because I borrowed it a couple times when we were kids from you, and I couldn't get past. Is his name Croco? The first.
The purple crocodile guy.
Yeah, the purple crocodile guy.
Draco,
something like that. Yeah, so. I had a hard time beating him when I was a kid, and now with this, like I was like, is it always this easy, or they rebalanced it? I don't know what they did, but it was pretty easy for the most of the game. Then I hit a little bit of a curve or difficulty curve on the pirate ship area.
Oh yeah,
and then I eventually got to Smithy, who was really hard at the level I was at because I was only 18 or 19, which I'm guessing might be a little underleveled. I'm not totally sure.
Yeah, like. I remember going into the 20s back in the day.
That's what I think, and that's why I was surprised I got to him, and I managed to beat him by like the skin of my nose because I was very close to losing. Like I was that damn close, and it's a long boss fight because it has 2 phases.
Well, Mario RPG definitely taught me in all of RPGs how to delegate authority.
Exactly.
Like Peach became...
She was the healer for me.
Yeah, she was all the ways the healer. Bowser was nothing but physical attacks. And then Mario could go attack or magic.
Yeah, and he also had to be in the party no matter what. Like now it's pretty cool. You can swap the parties the party members on the fly. So if you need someone who has an ability or a spell that is a weakness for an enemy, it helps. In this case, it helped me a lot because I had Mallow, Peach, and Mario as like my sort of last team for the last boss fights.
Oh wow!
And Mallow got killed at the last minute because the tank head, or excuse me, that Smithy at the end has those multiple transformations where he's like a tank head, a casket, and like this looks like a Grim Reaper thing.
Oh yeah,
right. And I was lucky that he transformed into the tank a lot because I had a weakness to thunder. Because if he transformed anything else, it was a hell of a time for me to stay alive.
He has some one-hitter quitters, doesn't he?
He does. Yeah. So, but I had the ultimate weapons I found in Bowser's Keep. I got the lazy shell, the lazy armor.
Oh yeah.
Right. So that made it a lot easier for Peach to stay alive until she died at the very end. I was like, oh crap. But unfortunately, by that time, like he was 1 or 2 hits away from dying. I just pulled Bowser in and I was like, oh cool. I barely survived that. So
did you at least have items too? Like, oh, I haven't used a pick-me-up in forever.
I had no pick-me-ups left. That was the problem because Princess was my healer and she would revive people.
Yeah.
But I used all the pick-me-ups in the first phase. And, I had forgotten that, like, the last string of boss fights, it's a string of boss fights. It's pretty consistent. Mm-hmm. So once I got to the second phase of Smithy, I was like, oh, crap, like, I hope she can stay alive. Because if she doesn't, I'm going to be in some trouble. And that's what happens. She died at, like, in the last couple turns. And luckily, like I said, I took Bowser out and it was like 2 hits and he was done, thankfully. But yeah, and there's some extra stuff after. Like I still haven't beaten Culex.
Oh yeah.
I got the thing. I got the little item to unlock his little house where he's hiding in. And I forgot what other stuff is included. But like once you beat the game, it says like, oh, you have a clear save file. Well, you could check out some more stuff. So
that's funny because beating Culex, he gives you a good item for the rest of the game.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, you can.
I never beat him back then.
I forgot what it was, but it's pretty useful as a. I don't know if it was an item or an armor piece, but either way, yeah, it was definitely helpful. He's not. I think I did beat him way late in that game. That was another one where I would grind a lot to get a really high level. Just to beat him. He was harder than Smithy. Oh,
I remember that because he was supposed to be like the hidden boss fight. I remember you and our friend Mervin at the time were both kind of like finding the recipe to kill him. Yeah. And it was really difficult. And I remember fighting him, but I could never beat him. And now I'm sure I'd have to level up more because there's no way. If I barely survived Smithy in the last boss at 18, 19, there's no way Culex is gonna be easy for me at all.
But they were smart, at least. He had an awesome theme song while you were fighting, so you didn't mind if you just kept getting your ass handed to you.
Yeah, I should check him out because I'm curious what he looks like too in the new art style with the new graphics and everything. Because everything else in this game looks amazing. I love it.
Oh yeah, I wonder if he's 3D now because he was a really good sprite back then.
Yeah, I thought he was from the Final Fantasy game, but I guess he was just an original creation, from what I understand.
Yeah, who could definitely fit into a Final Fantasy game.
Yeah, easily. So yeah, I finished Mario RPG, and then I've been kind of bouncing between games because I had a string where I was beating a lot of the games I was looking out for, like Spider-Man 2, Alan Wake 2, Mario RPG. So I want to get the Cyberpunk expansion since I've been talking about that, the Phantom Liberty.
I am surprised you haven't already.
I got to. I was thinking about it last night, but I got home kind of late, and I was like, I shouldn't start this at like 10:30. Like, there's no reason for me to do that.
You'll be like me, dozing off at the character creation.
It'll be worthless on there. And then I was playing a little bit of Gears Tactics because our friend Randy was talking about XCOM and getting into a tactics game, and I picked up Gears Tactics again. It's fun. It can be difficult for me at times, but it's a really cool game. I'm playing on PC, and it's been a fun little experience on there.
Did I see you or somebody was playing Mario and Rabbids too?
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, so I picked it up on Black Friday. It was cheap. It was like $14.
The first or the second one?
This is the second one. It's I forgot what it's already called, but it's weird. So the first Mario and Rabbids game, it was like a tactics turn-based game.
Yeah.
This one's weird because the battles are sort of real time, but turn-based as well. So it's like now you have a range where you can freely move, like you're you can move it across a certain part of the battlefield. Mm-hmm. And then once you attack, you can't move anymore. And the whole thing is like it's more like based on cover. So like you get behind like a block.
Oh.
And you could pop out and shoot the enemies on there.
That sounds like I want to say Wasteland 3.
It might be similar to that.
It's kind of a more modern tactics game.
Yes. So it's been pretty cool. I only got like an hour into it, and there's like a lot of stuff they throw at you right out the gate, like with all the upgrades and skills. It's published by Ubisoft. I don't know if it's developed by them. So you know that there's just like tons and tons of information thrown at you, tons of little icons. And it's not like a detriment yet, but it's also just like I'm in the first hour, for God's sake. Like I need to be eased into this stuff. Like there's always menu items, like skills you can do, and like different party formations, and it seems really cool. I don't know how. I know this is well received and like it looks really good for a Switch game. But it's also like I've been playing Mario Wonder and Mario RPG, so it's like I might be Marioing myself out if I'm not careful, kind of thing.
Well, hey, when was the last time this much Mario came out all at once? That
That's
was
true.
Worth playing.
Yeah, and plus this was inexpensive. It was like I think it was like $14 on the eShop or something like that. Or I got the cart and it's on eShop for $14, which I found out after. Which I would just got the digital version if it was the same price.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. All right, Deucy. So our main event for today. This has been an interesting comparison for both of us here because you grew up with the Super Nintendo. I grew up with both, but I was also more like in the Genesis. Mm-hmm. And one of the games that was definitely different between the two versions, but were actually really good.
Yeah,
was what we're talking about today, which is Aladdin on both the Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo. What history do you have with Aladdin, the movie and the game?
well, it's one of the earliest movies I remember seeing over and over again.
Me too. I watched the hell out of this movie.
I don't think I saw it in theaters, but maybe I did, and I was really little. I do remember seeing Beauty and the Beast before that in theaters, but I can't remember if we saw Aladdin. And then I just loved it. It was one of my top Disney movies ever. It's up there with Lion King and even Emperor's New Groove for me. That's like top 3.
I do love Emperor's New Groove. I only discovered that when I worked at the video store.
Nice.
Actually.
And then the games came out, and actually, weirdly enough, my biggest memory is having the Tiger Electronics handheld Aladdin. I got it for Christmas one year, and I played the hell out of that thing because just as we'll discuss in the Genesis version, you got a sword in the Tiger Electronics version.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I played that at your house or not, but
Oh, probably. Yeah.
I'm sure I might have because I feel like I would have because there's no way I could.
I always busted out that collection while I'm playing some console game. You would be playing those.
Yeah.
Or switching off.
Yeah, it's people rightfully hate on Tiger Electronic games, but I think also people don't realize like in the early 90s. That's kind of what we had.
Yeah.
Like if you didn't have a Game Boy, Game Gear, or whatever, these were inexpensive. They're like $15, where the hell they were, $20. I wouldn't even say $20. That seems expensive back then.
I have no concept because I never bought them myself.
Yeah, right. Same here. So it's probably like,
little.
I'll say 10 to 20, probably in the 10 to 15 range. But we played the hell of them. Like I had Mortal Kombat. I played a lot of that. Street Fighter. I know I played the Darkwing Duck one a lot at your house.
That was
you
my
had
favorite.
That. Yeah, right.
That one in Aladdin.
So they're crappy games. They're not worth a damn, but they were fun enough at the time.
It was a simpler time where you set a high score yourself if you beat like four or 5 levels, and then you went back and tried to beat that.
Yeah, and I was stupid enough to think some of these games had endings, and none of them did because it was just physically impossible for them to have endings.
They had little chiptune songs to tell you were
They
done.
did, yeah. It's like restart now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, the Aladdin the movie was. I remember getting it at the warehouse because again, I love talking about the warehouse on this podcast and our movie one. But yeah, I had rented it from there, and then we pretty much bought it right after that because my brother and I both loved it. My sister loved it. I love the music in there. I love Robin Williams. Similar to you, like this was like I think it might still be my top animated Disney movie. I don't know if there's none I could think of that I'd watch over and over and over or would be a favorite. Like even Lion King, as much as I love that, I don't think tops Aladdin because again, Robin Williams and the music,
Yeah.
tip top. So some fun facts about the movie. The movie was released November 11th, 1992. So it just recently celebrated its 31st anniversary a couple weeks ago. It was made on a budget of $28 million and earned $504 million, which is crazy money for an animated feature.
Yeah.
And it was actually the first full-length animated movie to gross over $200 million, which is crazy because Lion King eventually did that, but it did it 2 years later. And this was a fun fact that I was kind of surprised about. It was the first movie to cross the $200 million mark since Terminator 2 the year before. So Terminator 2 and Aladdin can share that same accolade.
It's wild. This was definitely in Disney's resurgence. I think we talked about it in our Disney game collection where they were on the ropes and struggling. So that's when they created DuckTales. Mm-hmm. And then they started to really get back into it with the box offices like Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, and then Aladdin and Lion King were the 1-2 combo.
Yeah, and all that played into the games moving forward too, because we'll talk about development here. Like I'll start with the Super Nintendo one because The Super Nintendo one had less development history from what I could find. Like there just wasn't a whole lot about it because most of the accolades and most of the attention gets to the Genesis version. We'll talk a lot about why, and there's actually a lot of good reasons why. But the Super Nintendo one, both of these games are distinct. They have, they share obviously the same characters and whatnot because it's all based on the movie Aladdin. But they have different music, different levels, even though some levels kind of are the same, but they're not. But this is interesting because it's developed by two different companies. The Super Nintendo version was developed and published by Capcom, of all things. And also, the director for this game was Shinji Mikami, which we all know, or he was the designer, which we all know is like sort of the, the father of like Resident Evil, Onimusha, Devil May Cry, like all these big Capcom franchises. Like he was a designer on this game. And for this, like, they already had the license for Disney. And they'd already done games like, or they were going to work on games like Goof Troop and a few others. And with this,
Bonkers, I think was on Super Nintendo.
Bonkers was on Super Nintendo. I've never played that one. That's a weird one because that's one I always wanted to play, and no one had that. I never saw that anywhere for rent.
I didn't know it existed until recently, and I saw some screenshots. It looks like Animaniacs, but Disney.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So the Super Nintendo version. So this is really weird because I would say it's not too often, especially back then, where you would have the same game, but it was programmed or developed by two different companies, completely different. Mm-hmm. Like we just had a Mortal Kombat episode where Probe was developing the Genesis and the other versions, and then you had Sculpture Software do the Super Nintendo. But they're all, to my understanding, they were subsidiaries of Acclaim in one way or Midway.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
And in this one, I was very shocked to find out that this is a weird time for Disney licensing because, like you said, Disney was having a resurgence of their movies, like they're leaning more on the animated movies, and they had a contract with Capcom already, right? Because they're developing all of the Nintendo games that we talked about a few weeks back.
Yeah.
And in this instance, they had the IP for Disney games, and they also had the license for Aladdin. But what happened in the middle of development was the license expired. And what that allowed Disney to do is to shop around for the Genesis version, which is where they landed with Virgin Interactive.
Oh.
So that's why it's really weird that we have the Aladdin Super Nintendo version by Capcom, and then there's a distinct version with Genesis by Virgin.
And I think the Genesis one came out first, though. I mean, they were right around the same time.
They were really close. They were within a couple of months of each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's basically it. Like, I was surprised that there wasn't a whole lot of history in development. Like, it was a pretty cut and dry game. They'd already been working on the previous Disney games with Capcom, and they just kind of went, they said, like, can you do an Aladdin game for us? So in the middle of that, the Genesis version was being worked on, and this was originally going to be given to Blue Sky. What was their name here? Blue Sky Software. But they were already working on Jurassic Park that same year. So it's pretty crazy. So
that's why that sounds familiar.
Yeah, right. So they did the Jurassic Park game on Genesis, and they had done the Little Mermaid game originally for Genesis, not the the Nintendo one.
Yeah, because that was Capcom too on
Nintendo. Capcom was, yeah. So Blue Sky they did the Little Mermaid game. So Disney was already happy with them. They're like, can you do this? And I'm like, well, we're preoccupied with Jurassic Park. We can't do it. And they shopped around. Eventually, they got Virgin to work on it. But one Easter egg that we found for Jurassic Park, interestingly enough, was that you could find a genie lamp on the main map for Jurassic Park.
Yeah,
I had a hard time finding this thing. I was looking at the smoke of the mountains and everything. I sent it to Deucy, like, oh, it's right here.
Yeah,
but it's pretty cool. I'll post it online too. But it's an upside down genie lamp as like one of the mountainsides on Jurassic Park. It's really cool. It's a hard to find Easter egg. Like I had to play the game to find it because all the screenshots on Google of the map were so tiny that I couldn't make anything out anyway. So I booted the game up. It's like, oh, okay, well, I'll get this. And I put it up for Deuce. He's like, oh, it's right there. I see it. So Virgin took on developing the Genesis version, which the Genesis version is really freaking good. It was done by the director was David Perry, who would later do games like Earthworm Jim, and you had Tommy Tallarico, who would also do music for Earthworm Jim. He was the composer for this game.
He did music for a lot.
He did a lot. Like, he did Cool Spot back then, Batman Return of the Joker, Earthworm Jim, and there's a ton. Like, he's had a pretty crazy and awesome career for being a composer. Recently, he's gotten in some issues with his console that he's been trying to release called the Amico.
Oh.
It's like I don't fully understand what it is, but I think he bought the Intellivision name or licensed it. So it's like all these, they're like mobile games, but he's trying to portray it as like this family console, and like it's really skeptical on whether it's coming out or not. So he's been under some weird skepticism and controversy about that.
Are there games that already exist and he's just bundling them?
No,
or?
they're new games, but he has like this. If you look online, there's like the 10 Commandments of the Amico or something like that, and it's like stuff where every game has to be multiplayer, every game has to be family friendly or something. There's these really awkward sort of guidelines and for what each game should be on there, which means a lot of the games are going to be limited. Like, who the hell is going to play this thing and how expensive is it going to be?
It's basically the 10 bullets he's shooting into his foot.
Pretty much, yeah. So with the getting back to the development of the Genesis one, Virgin worked really closely with Disney on this. They had 10 animators who worked on the animation frames
very closely.
Like this is, I would say this is a pretty unusual relationship because it's not often, especially back then for Disney, like to be working with a game development company so closely on a game like this.
Especially when it's not their own. Like later on in I don't know if it was even in this generation or later generations, they would have their own video game studio.
Yeah. And that's what's funny is the success of Aladdin and a lot of these Disney games is what ultimately influenced Disney to create their own development studio and start making games on their own, which is a really crazy thought because after this, like they had Mickey Mania, they had all the I think it was like Magical Quest. I think that's what they were called in Super
those
Nintendo.
were still Capcom.
Oh, were they?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay, so it was much later.
At least Magical Quest was, I think.
Mickey Mania, and I forgot what the other ones were, but they had, and eventually they made their own games on there.
Yeah.
And with this game, like I said, they had the 10 animators working on the animation frames with this. They eventually made 1,500 pieces of art over 8 weeks, which seems insane for a Genesis game of all things back then.
I'd like to see the comparison to what they made for the actual movie.
Yeah, well, and that's what's funny is I had read that they had over 250,000 digitized cells from the movie that they could use as references because they couldn't. Yeah. I'm sure Disney didn't want to have them have the movie on hand to review it. So even Virgin went as far as to pay for the movie tickets for the development staff to go see the movie, which is pretty cool. It's like, yeah, you want to go see Aladdin again so we could work on the game? Sure, the company's paying for it,
I'm a little sketchy on this middle part. Let's go watch it again.
Yeah. So it's really cool, and you could tell that when we get deeper into the comparisons, but you could really tell that the animation between the Genesis and Super Nintendo is pretty drastically different just in terms of fluidity and the amount of frames of animation on there. And with this, they were using Digicel tech, which is how it's basically allowed them to convert all of their art, their hand-drawn art, into frame-by-frame animations in a format that could work in the game. So all that work went into this game, and I don't want to say it definitely paid off. Mm-hmm. You could tell. And it was said that when Virgin showed this version of Aladdin at CES, Consumer Electronics Show back in the day, that's when Capcom was like, oh, wait, we're going to have to improve the Super Nintendo one because they just saw what the Genesis is doing with Virgin, and we have to up their game. So I don't know.
I wonder what they had on hand before they saw that.
That's what I'm curious about.
Because they were really good. Capcom was like my favorite developer of license-based games back then.
Oh, easily for me.
Because they were so good at making them look like what you wanted them to look like. DuckTales, Darkwing Duck, they all looked... granted, that was 8-bit Nintendo, but I definitely fully trusted them to move into the 16-bit era just as...
Oh, easily. Well, Mega Man X, we love that game. Like that to me, that's like a shining hallmark of how great Capcom was during that year. Like that was one of their first... I want to say it's probably one of their earlier games on... I don't want to say it's early because it was 94. But that's definitely like one of their big games when they hit their stride on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
So, for comparison's sake, the Genesis version sold 1.6 million copies in its first week on the Genesis, which is huge, especially for 1993. But it would go on to sell 4 million copies. And believe it or not, I was actually shocked about this little factoid, but it's the third best-selling Genesis game of all time behind Sonic 1 and 2.
Ha, hell yeah.
Which, yeah, I love that. But it's like, to me, like, there's a lot of awesome Genesis games. I was really surprised that Aladdin, a licensed game of all things, is like number 3 on the best-selling Genesis games list. You know? And it was kind of early. It was like 93. Like, Genesis lived on for another 4 years, so nothing could really catch Aladdin and Sonic 1 and 2.
In my mind, it makes sense because, like we said, I was Nintendo kid, Super Nintendo, didn't own a Genesis. But when I wanted to play Genesis either at like a store or at your house, the first things that always came to mind were Sonic and Aladdin.
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, easily. So for context, some of the games that were released around November, December 1993 at the time, there was Mortal Kombat 2. This was the arcade version. It hadn't come out on home consoles just yet. A big one, Doom, came out December 1993.
Oh.
And then the Zelda... The Zelda CDI games came out around this time. The Faces of Evil, Wand of Gamelon. I forgot what the other one was called. RoboCop versus Terminator, which is also the my version. That's an excellent game on the Genesis.
Oh, wow.
Super Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, Sonic Chaos on the Game Gear. Mega Man 6 had come out. And then one for our friend Mike, Phantasy Star 4, End of the Millennium on the Genesis.
Oh.
And then Jurassic Park had come out on basically everything around this time too. Also, I forgot to mention too. So the Super Nintendo version, by comparison... So, in totality, the Genesis Aladdin sold 4 million. The SNES one would only sell 1.8 million copies.
Total.
And
that was just a little bit over what they sold in
a week.
One.
It's insane. Like, and like, I remember, we'll talk about this later more too, but it's like, I remember as a kid, like, I didn't think the difference was that drastic, right? Like, both games were excellent. I loved both of them, but I didn't know that the Genesis one was that much more loved, especially when you consider that. Well, I guess console wars are still happening, so I don't know how much more SNESs were out there, that people had bought compared to Genesises.
I'm trying to think. I did a brief report on this back in the day when I was taking some business classes, and Genesis, actually, there was a point in the console wars where they were killing it.
They were ahead, yeah.
And people don't talk about it much because Nintendo was the ultimate winner, but... Yeah, there was a time where there was probably more genocide.
I know, we always say that. Like, we always get flummoxed on it. I'm like, it could be either one. It sounds cool either way.
More than Super Nintendo's out
there. Yeah, so yeah, that was a fun fact for me. Is like it sold about half of what the Genesis one would sell. And it was still, on Super Nintendo, it still sold well. Like for Capcom, it was still one of the highest selling games they ever made behind Street Fighter 2, which is a pretty good accolade, I would say. Like of all the Capcom games, it was shortly behind Street Fighter 2. So the reviews for this game, we'll cover the Genesis version first. So on GamePro, they reviewed it in issue 52 for November 1993. They gave the graphics a 5, the sound a 4 out of 5, control.
Really?
Yeah, I would say it's a 4. A control 4.5, fun factor 5. They were impressed with the animation and called it one of the most beautiful video games to date. They loved the digitized version of the music from the movie. And they really didn't have any negatives outside of the rear thinking it may not be challenging for some, which I don't agree with that.
Yeah, me neither. But no, I'm more surprised that the sound was only a 4.
Oh, really? I thought you would have been like, you seem surprised like it should have been lower or something.
No, I definitely think it should be higher because I'm not usually a fan of any sound that comes from the Sega. But except for Sonic has really good songs. Everybody loves those classics. And I really think they hit it out of the park with this Aladdin.
Yeah, they did. I think... I would say this is definitely a standout for the soundtrack. Because for me, the best soundtrack on the Genesis, and I would love to do an episode on it, is Streets Rage 2. I still listen to that soundtrack normally. Like I love that freaking soundtrack to death. It's so good. But I think Aladdin is definitely easily top 5, maybe even top 3 Genesis soundtracks you can find because it's just that damn good.
Well, you can't go wrong because it was the movie soundtrack.
Yeah,
I mean, without words.
Yeah, and Tommy Tallarico did a pretty amazing job because, again, like you said, Genesis didn't have the most advanced sound chip, especially compared to Super Nintendo. A lot of instances, it was also an older console by like a couple of years, but the sounds and music they got out of the Genesis is really impressive. It sounds fantastic. And then the Super Nintendo version in that same issue of GamePro, let's see, it got a 4.5 for graphics, 4 for sound, Control got a 4, Fun Factor got a 4.5. The reviewer loved the graphics and sound, but they said the animation isn't as good as the Genesis, and they also called out how easy it was as a negative, which I can agree with that to an extent. Like, I would say it shouldn't.
I'm not saying that's a negative
too much, yeah,
but
right?
I am agreeing it's easy.
Exactly. Like, I wouldn't say that hurts the game,
yeah,
but I wouldn't say it's definitely noticeable.
I rented it back in the day. I think it was the first time I ever played it. I rented it, and I beat it in a 3-day rental span.
Me too.
I'm pretty sure
I was happy about that.
It was before Disney cracked down on the rental difficulties, which we'll talk about one day in the Lion King episode.
Yeah. That'd be a fun one to do. All right, and then let's see, EGM, they also reviewed it, and they reviewed it in 2 different issues because these came out like a month or 2 apart from each other. They were really close. I think it was like one was September and one was November, something like that. The Super Nintendo version the Genesis version was reviewed in issue 52, November 1993. They gave this a 9 out of 10, an 8 out of 10, a 9 out of 10, and an 8 out of 10.
This was Genesis?
This was Genesis.
Who gave it 8s?
I don't know. Someone who I don't agree with either.
Yeah.
Like, this is easily one of the best Genesis games you could get. They considered it a masterpiece. So it's interesting, like, they gave it 8s, but they considered it a masterpiece for the system. And they thought it was one of the best looking and playing games on the Genesis. And these small negatives were mostly around the controls, that they felt they were a little frustrating, and sometimes they had jerky scrolling, which I did get that. Like, I don't think I noticed as a kid, but when I played it, just last week, like, I definitely noticed that there was some weird scrolling issues, and like some of the controls could be kind of funky and slippery. But they did praise the amazing animation, which it's due. It makes perfect sense. The Super Nintendo version was was reviewed in issue 54, January 1994.
Wow.
This one got scores of 8 out of 10, 8, 9, and an 8, and they praised the graphics and music, but they said the animation just doesn't compare to the Genesis, and they really didn't have anything bad to say. Like, it was the same thing. They said, like, it's on the easier side, but they didn't really make a big point of it like GamePro did.
I mean, if the Genesis one didn't exist, it would be a great looking Aladdin game.
It would be. No matter what, you'd be happy with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Nintendo Power, they only reviewed the Super Nintendo version for obvious reasons. They reviewed it in issue 55, December 1993. They had a whole cover story with this and an 8-page guide.
Oh, I remember that one.
Me too.
It had the Cave of Wonders
It
on
does. I really love that cover. And I believe Jafar and Yaga are on there too.
Yeah.
It's a great... I mean, there's a lot of great Nintendo Power cards, but that one stands out. Nintendo Power, they love the beautiful graphics and animation control. But even they said they expected more of a challenge from Capcom. And their scores were graphics of 4.2 out of 5, play control of 4.2, challenge a 3.9, which I think is a little too high. Like, that should be like a 2, because there were some difficult parts in this game, but nothing that was really, really trying.
Jafar at the end is...
Yeah, but even then, he was more of an annoyance than anything else, I would say.
I think the difficulty in that one came from hit detection.
Yeah. Easily.
But that's also part of the Genesis one.
Yeah. And then theme and fun was the last metric they scored on, and that got a 3.9 out of 5. So so that's all the reviews on there. And I'd say, like, I'm mostly in agreement with those. Like, the Genesis version, like, it's just, it's widely regarded as, like, the technically, superior version in a lot of ways. But Deucey, you played both. I played and beat both. Did you beat both, or you just finish one? You finished one?
Yeah.
What were your initial thoughts on your current day comparison of the two?
My current day comparison is Super Nintendo beats this one by a mile.
Oh, bold words.
No, but like I said, back then I really wanted to play the Genesis one because it looked so great, and I would play it in the Toys R Us kiosk, the little demo. I would play it if I was over at yours place, if you had it.
I did have it.
Yeah.
I bought it from the warehouse. It's right there.
But now I beat the Super Nintendo one because you can play them both on that collection on Switch or on any current console.
Yeah, we should say that if you do want to play it now, it is available. It was recently added within the last year or two to the Disney Classic Game Collection, which is, like Deuce said, it's on everything: Switch, PS4 / PS5,
yeah,
current gen consoles, PC. It's everywhere. It's a really cool collection for, I think, like $25-$30.
They did a good job with that collection because when it initially came out, it was only the Virgin games, and they recently added Jungle Book and the Super Nintendo Aladdin.
Yeah.
But yeah, I went back and played both of these, and Super Nintendo I beat in a couple days, in a couple sittings. Sega, I still have not beaten. I think in this playthrough, I got to... The Cave of Wonders is on fire, but you're not on the carpet yet. And the furthest I've ever gotten in that game is the carpet escape. So, like, probably one level later.
It's one level after.
I don't remember when I got to that point. It was a long time ago. But, yeah, I've never beaten the Sega version. And when I was playing it this time, I was like, okay, it looks beautiful. It was amazing that they got with the artists and they created it just for this game. But there are flaws that nobody talks about.
Yeah. Well, for me, and one thing I'll say too, which is kind of funny, but even Shinji Mikami, he even mentioned that, like, after, he obviously designed the Super Nintendo game.
Yeah.
But he even said, like, he's like, he'd have, if he didn't make the Super Nintendo version, he'd have bought the Genesis version, just because of, he said specifically for him was the ability to use a sword and the better animation.
Well, that was another thing when I was growing up. I always liked the Super Nintendo one because it was more authentic. Like, Aladdin briefly uses a sword in the final battle with Jafar and never anywhere else. You don't see him running through Agrabah slashing everybody. But, I mean, it made for a good play style in the Genesis one, except I don't like the hit detection with it. Like
On the Super Nintendo one?
no, on the Sega with the
yeah.
sword, I can never fully tell if I'm hitting a guy until I get hit and lose some life, and then I kill him. And I'm like,
Yeah. So
damn.
so I would say some of the big differences between the games. So we'll kind of go through some of the ones here before we get even deeper into the differences and our preferences on there because I have different preferences.
Yeah.
So the Genesis version has 10 levels. Compared to the Super Nintendo 7, the interesting thing with the Super Nintendo one is that there's 7 main stages, but they're kind of broken up into sections, like usually like 2 or 3.
3 or 4
Yeah,
levels
2 to 4
each.
depending on each one.
Yeah.
And the Genesis one does have a scimitar that Adam uses, excuse me. I don't know where I got Adam. That Aladdin uses. And he also is able to throw apples that you can pick up, like they're disposable. Yeah. And then he also has the jump, which is, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And then the Super Nintendo one doesn't have the sword at all, but Aladdin can sort of jump on people, but he's got like a really awkward hop. Like it's almost like a momentum hop where you hop and then you flip forward, which is fine if you're jumping on enemies, but it sucks if you're trying to land on those vertical posts to transition. Well, you have to vertically orient yourself to stay on it. Like
yeah,
you
I was going to say
flop forward and flop back.
At least Capcom is known for their control, and you can, if you know about it, you can finagle it.
You could, yeah. But I would say it's like less than ideal. Like,
yeah.
I would have just preferred if you could just hang there or something.
I was going to say it's not a Mario jump where you jump straight up or anything.
Yeah. And then in the Super Nintendo when he doesn't have a sword at all, he can throw his apples, which even then you don't really use it. They just kind of stun. And then it does have a pass-through system in there, and it has like a few items you can pick up, like the green gems that are worth 1 point, and then red gems are worth 10. Which, if you collect up to 100 points, it actually adds to your heart meter, which is fun.
Yeah,
like you get more health. But honestly, like this game for me was pretty damn easy for the most part, where like you won't really need it. But if you're young and you're a young kid playing this, like it's actually cool. You can increase your life if you do go collect all the gems. Like you have a better chance of doing that.
There's something there's 10 gems per world. 10 red gems. Yes. And if you get them all, they get you something, but I can't remember
I couldn't find what it was. I don't know where it was, but it's like I'm sure you get some bonus, and I'm sure it's not worth it.
I know, because there's always 1 or 2 that are in the most awkward of jumping locations.
Yeah.
Where you're like, I'm pretty sure I'm going to die when I collect this, but at least when you restart, that's already collected, and it turns into a green one.
Yeah. And then the Super Nintendo one thing unique for that is it does have this sort of glider parachute that Aladdin can pick up.
Oh, that was very handy.
It's really handy, but also that's what makes the game so freaking easy, because for me, I beat this in one sitting. Like I just played on my PC or whatever, and like I got through it just as quick as I thought. The last boss is kind of a pain, which we'll talk about, but maybe we could get into it now. But the last bosses for the Super Nintendo one, there's you fight a Cobra Jafar. Or first you fight Jafar and like his sorcerer kind of thing. And he's not too difficult, but he's kind of annoying because he has this attack where he throws his staff down and you have to hop onto the staff right before it electrocutes you, and then hop off the staff and then hop onto him.
Yep.
And you do that a few times and he's dead. Not terribly difficult. It's more of an annoyance because you have to learn the pattern.
You can also hop on those pots with the chicken wings and feet and hop off of that onto him. That one, I was having a little difficulty with this playthrough, more so than the snake fight. Just like I said, because of the hit detection. Like sometimes you think you're going to hit him right on the head, and it counts as a hit. Another time you think you're in the same exact spot, and you take a hit.
Yeah, it's really weird. It was definitely getting some funkiness with both versions. And the last boss is you fight a Cobra Jafar, which looks really cool.
Yeah.
But God, is there so much slowdown? There's so much slowdown fighting him, and then it's more difficult because you have to hop on these eggs on each one, like hop onto his head, or you can wait from to come down and try to strike you.
That, or he waggles his body. His body becomes the floor.
Yeah,
and when it starts to undulate, you can wait for a peak and jump on him.
Yeah, I did that too.
Yeah.
So that for me, like the last boss was fine, but I would say like the Super Nintendo version it plays things really safe. Mm-hmm. And I mean, like in every sense, where like the level design is really safe. A lot of it's pretty straightforward. Like it's just get from point A to point B. There's not a whole lot of enemies that get in your way, and pretty much everything can be killed pretty quickly. Like you'd hop on them, and you have there's really no resistance to get to the end of the game.
I feel it fits in with the Disney Capcom library because
it does.
That was kind of how the NES games were. Mm-hmm. Very point A to point B, and I could beat Chippendale or DuckTales in a single sitting. Mm-hmm. But I just like that more because I want to play it and not get frustrated.
Yeah.
Whereas I was playing the Sega one, in bed. I'm just there. My wife's doing something, and she notices I'm like getting annoyed because I keep dying, or I keep like they had really bad hit detection with those disappearing blocks.
Yes.
Kind of like Mega Man. It's what in the castle dungeon.
Yes, and there's 1 or 2 levels that have it after, but I didn't think those were that bad, honestly. Like they were so slow for me that
I missed them so much.
Really?
Because they were out and I saw them out, and then all of a sudden I jumped and he would go right through them, and I'm like, what am I missing?
Yeah, I will say there is some funky, because I mean it's a problem with a lot of games from that era, but there's sometimes like you can't tell what you can jump on and what you can't. Like it could be a foreground or background element.
That's, I'd say, a compliment to the artist because it looked so good.
Yeah.
But also, wait, what can I use?
Yeah, and so that's a big difference for me too between the two, is that the Super Nintendo one, it looks great. Like you can't dispute that at all. It's really vibrant, but I think it's almost to its detriment where the Genesis version, like the levels are so freaking gorgeous and like the art design is so much stronger. Like there's a lot more contrast between like the characters like Aladdin and the background.
Yeah.
And all the colors used, like, you know, when you're escaping the Cave of Wonders, like you have that giant boulder rolling after you. And it almost looks 3D because they use a lot of like purple, yellows, and oranges in there. It's just like barreling towards you while you're going through the cave, but it looks amazing. Like it just looks so damn good. And the animation definitely stands out. Like everything just looks fluid. Like it almost does look like a Disney movie, but you know, a playable video game. Like it's not 1-to-1, but it's pretty damn close.
Yeah, it was. It reminded me of like educational games where they really spent time on the art style of Mickey or something. He's teaching you letters and numbers. Yeah. But like they could take that time because they didn't have to do a whole lot of frantic gameplay, whereas in this they did, and they still nailed it. It looks great.
Did you have a favorite level on the Super Nintendo one? Like, was there one that stuck out to you more than anything?
I'm trying to think. I would say the Cave of Wonders escape on the carpet, because you do that one in that one too, or the final boss with Jafar when he turns into a snake. There's a level in the Super Nintendo one I forgot all about because it's not even in the movie. It's when you go to like a quote unquote temple or a pyramid or something.
Oh yeah, it's to rescue Abu.
Yeah,
Abu.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, I forgot all about this world.
Me too. When I played through, I was like, I don't remember this at all, because he literally says like he goes into a pyramid.
Yeah.
It's almost like they didn't know how to lengthen the game. Like, well, we could throw a level where you go rescue, you know, Abu. It's cool, you know.
I did enjoy on Super Nintendo the cutscenes, quote unquote. Even though they were like still pictures and you had to read, they do cover a decent amount of the movie and then still allow you to play a good amount, except for that level that they had to throw in randomly. Whereas in the Genesis one, I feel like they skip over a lot via cutscenes.
They do, but I think the cutscenes in the Genesis one
they're
look better.
Yeah, obviously they are hand drawn.
They're hand drawn
to match the movie.
And for me, like I love the little every time you start a level, it does that thing with the scarab where like it forms.
Oh yeah,
and then, like you see like this weird trippy pattern behind it that like flares.
Yeah,
and I thought that was like such a cool freaking little touch, because I think that's the thing is like the Super Nintendo one is a safe game, but the Genesis one like takes Aladdin and Disney and imagination and just ramps it up to 11. Like everything about this game just has the passion of animation and like imagination. It's so freaking fun. The music, for instance. Actually, no, I'll get back to my favorite level. Excuse me, for the Super Nintendo one. My favorite was actually Inside the Genie's Lamp.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because that was, God, I forgot the song that was playing back there.
Friend Like Me.
Friend Like Me. There you go. Excuse me. And I thought that was like the strongest level the Super Nintendo one had, because like it seemed like they broke out of their little box, right, for the design.
It was the most imaginative.
Yeah, you're like jumping on clouds or anything. There's like genie heads they almost looks like a Mega Man level, right? Like you're jumping on the platforms like Mega Man would.
Like you jump on his head and he makes faces as he's moving around and everything, and at one point don't you like go on his tongue?
Yeah You're scaling up them.
You're scaling up his tongue.
That's the level for sure where it's like I think it did well to kind of break up the levels, because each one, like, you know, like I said, there's like 2 or 3 sections, each 2 to 4 sections, and then you go on to the next stage and like it gives you a password and everything, and it gives you a rundown of how many gems you collected. But you know, for me, like it's just like a straightforward platformer, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with it.
It was funny that they even included, they have all these cutscenes for everything else, and then they included the magic carpet ride with Jasmine.
Yeah, when they're playing Whole New World.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's just like a bonus round.
I feel like they just needed an excuse to get that song into the game.
They did. It's a really cool rendition of it too, and it's like the levels. It's not difficult at all. It's really just a bonus round where you're floating through the sky with her. It's a really cool level. But,
trying to collect all the gems.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's really cool, but it was interesting that was like a dedicated level of all the things they had in there.
I was kind of surprised. They could have forgotten the random pyramid and then done a level where, when Jafar sends Aladdin away into the snow, they could have easily done a level where he's trying to fight through the snow and get back to the carpet in Abu.
It would have helped because that would have been a nice change of, of literal scenery for the game. Yeah. The Genesis version. So one thing I do want to illustrate between the two is the differences in music. So I'll include a Genesis clip here. And then now we'll compare it to the Super Nintendo version. One song from there right here. And for me, I think it's easy that the Genesis version music sounds better.
Yeah,
it sounds fuller. I don't want to say like it sounds any more better than the Super Nintendo one, but this is definitely one of the few instances where the Genesis version's music trounces the Super Nintendo one.
I mean, just compared to other Genesis games.
That as well.
Like I said.
Yeah, Tommy Todorico did some freaking magic on this game. So the Genesis version has, like we mentioned earlier, has 10 levels, and I'd say most of those are pretty long, and there's some that are really difficult. Like I'd say this game is a lot more difficult than the reviews let on.
Yeah. Yeah, there were some parts where I was like, how is this still going? Especially the escape from the castle dungeon and the Cave of Wonders before you're running away, before it's on fire.
Yeah, when you're actually going through the cave.
Yeah.
Yeah, to get the lamp.
I will say, like you said, point A to point B for Super Nintendo, like left to right. This one is very up and down zigzag.
It is. and that's the thing is, that's why I like this version more, is because it does a lot more with the level design, but same thing to its detriment. Like it almost does too much.
Yeah.
Because like there's one level that you didn't get to where it's also inside the lamp. And I think it's a lot better than the Super Nintendo one because it looks like a crazy Earthworm Jim level. Like you could tell that, when you play it, Earthworm Jim came out a year or two later. This game, I mean, it looks like it influenced a lot in Earthworm Jim just from a level design standpoint. But the inside the lamp, like that level is freaking difficult, Deucy. Like I beat it, but there's a point where you're hopping from balloon to balloon, like their genie's faces on them.
Oh yeah.
And the tricky part is like the controls, like they I think they're good, but they are a little stiff when you jump, and particularly when you're trying to hang on something. Like if you're trying to grab a rope, or in this case, you're trying to grab the rings on the balloon. Like it's hard to tell when he's grabbing onto it because I'm just paranoid he's gonna fall.
Yeah.
And in the inside the lamp, there's an area where you're hopping across the balloons, and below you is just a death pit. And if you miss the balloon, which it seems like the little collision detection pixel that you have to grab on is really, really short.
Just one pixel.
Just one pixel. So I'm like jumping, tapping at like a rhythm to try to get across this crevice. And it was so freaking hard. I do remember having flashbacks of doing that with my friend Alex back in the day, and he had to beat that level for me because it was freaking hard.
I'm glad I did not get to that one. But yeah, that reminds me of the ropes just in the first level where I was like, oh, at first I didn't even know I could grab this. And now that I do know, why am I missing it?
Yeah, and I agree with you too. There's no real feedback for when you're hitting enemies most of the time.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's the thing with the animation or what, but there were times where you're right. Like I would slash at something. I'm not totally sure I was hitting it, but it turns out I was because I'd see them, explode.
Yeah, eventually.
Yeah, and then it's weird. It's just like there's a couple bosses in here. There's a fight with Iago towards the end of the game, and then even the final Jafar, where apples are your weapon of choice. Like the scimitar doesn't do anything, which I didn't understand. It's like you have the scimitar that is like your main weapon really for the most of the game, and then you just don't want us to use it for some of the bosses, maybe because we're technically, slashing at Iago and Jafar.
Yeah. We can't be killing birds here like that.
Yeah.
I use the apples a lot, just an everyday use. Like, if I saw a guy that I could walk up to, I would throw an apple first anyway, or throw it until he disappeared, because they were pretty plentiful.
They were.
And like I said, I just didn't know if my sword was going to hit, and I knew I was going to take a hit first. And I don't like the life meter in the Sega one because you can't tell for sure how much smoke you have left, or like what does that even mean? Whereas in Super Nintendo, you have hearts.
You have hearts. Yeah, the Genesis one has a lamp, and there's like Deucy said, there's a little bit of smoke coming out, and like each one is like a hit. And I'd say there's probably like 4, maybe 5 hits you could take, because the final hit there's no smoke and it's just a lamp flashing.
Yeah,
but you're right. There was a couple instances where I thought I was gonna die, like I wasn't sure.
Yeah,
and all of a sudden I'd be dead. I didn't understand why. And I think you have you don't have enough life to sustain you through most of the levels. Like some of the levels are pretty freaking long, and they could be difficult. Like even the Sultan's Dungeon, like the level you were at, like that's probably the most difficult level in the game for me, even above the inside the genie's lamp.
That no, it was in the Cave of Wonders. There's some areas where rocks are tumbling down. Little rocks are tumbling down a hill, and it's like you have no iframes. I would take like 3 hits and not just be dead.
Yeah,
and I was like, wait, what happened? I thought I had a good amount of life.
that level was hard. I will say it's least generous that they give you health pickups throughout the level. Like there's quite a few of them, but it's like you do have to learn. That's the thing, is like a lot of times like you just have to learn the levels, and it's a lot easier because I didn't use save states except for at the beginning of levels. Like if I had 0 lives, but it's like I got game over a couple times anyway. And then what sucks about that is you lose your apples.
Yeah.
And you have to collect them. So it's like there's a time where I had like 30, 40 apples, and then you're down to like 10, which go quick.
Yeah.
And then you have to hope that you'll come across more. And luckily they do spawn, but the game over isn't as penalizing as it could be. Like you just restart the level. And I would say like most of the levels are really awesome on the Genesis one. I think they're all pretty distinct. And I would say the Escape from the Cave of Wonder ride, or carpet ride, is one of the coolest Genesis levels you could have, because with that blast processing, like the sense of speed, it's amazing. But, and granted, like it's a really easy level. I would say it's an easy level because you're really just dodging rock formations. It'll tell you where to go. Like it says, go up, go down. The Super Nintendo one, like it doesn't feel for me as exhilarating because
it's slower, and it feels more like a classic shmup where touching a wall will just kill you.
I'll call it the Silver Surfer effect.
Yeah.
Where any surface can kill you.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool because they did, and this is with both versions, but they added, especially, I noticed it more on the Super Nintendo one, but they added kind of like momentum with the carpet, right? Like the wind is picking up under him or, above him, so you could like go up and down, which I thought was really cool and effective.
Yeah. And it was definitely, I think the Sega one was a little more snappy when it came to movement. Like
it was.
To dodge.
Yeah.
Whereas in the Super Nintendo one, you had, like you said, the momentum, and you could stop pressing up, but he'd still go up a little bit, so you really had to tap the button and really...
Yeah, he had some awkward momentum in that game, and even in the Genesis when I was facing that too, especially like if he was on an incline, like he was like on a rock thing that was has slope.
Yeah.
There's sometimes where I would have to like I'm gonna go careen off this thing and go into the lava or something, because like you kind of slide because the animation, right?
There was one part in the Cave of Wonders where I thought I had to jump from this hill, this slope that you were mentioning, over onto, I think it was a rope or like a stalactite or something that you could climb.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept doing it, and he would just slip before I would even push the jump button, and then he wouldn't be high enough on the hill. Come to find out, I had to actually go to the left a little and jump onto this rock that was going to get shot up by a water jet. I'm like, oh, that didn't even... There was no hint of that.
Yeah, there's some... So this game, I was surprised it had some tricky platforming. Like there was one part, especially in the Cave of Wonder, we keep going back that level because it's a pretty big level, I would say. Mm-hmm. But there's a point where it's like you think you're supposed to hop across each rock, but it turns out like I was like getting hit by, so I was like, what am I hitting? Like I'm just falling into the lava. Like, what's going on?
Oh yeah.
And it was one of those things where like this, the little stalactite thing looked like it was in the background, but it was kind of in the foreground. But the game wanted you to sort of stand on the platform because it sinks a little bit as you stand on it, and then hop. And after you do that, you don't hit. You cross it just fine. So I had to slow myself down at some points because I thought I was getting chased by the rock, and it's like, no, you're supposed to take your time and time your jump because you're not supposed to hit the ceiling, basically.
One thing I do like in the Super Nintendo version that I wish they had in the Sega is the swinging mechanic, where like you said, there was that stalactite in your way. In the Super Nintendo, he would have like grabbed on that and swung.
Yeah, he goes back and forth. It's almost like a Bionic Commando kind of thing.
Yeah. And I really enjoyed how they implemented that into a lot of the levels in Super Nintendo, where there were these poles that were sticking out, and you could just like swing back and forth. He would swing forward, you would jump, and then you would have to like aim him back over to one that was higher.
Well, and that's a little bit more in line with even the beginning of the movie, right? Where Aladdin's going through Agrabah. Like he's being chased by the guards.
Parkour.
Yeah, he's basically doing parkour. So in that respect, that seems like it was definitely influenced by the movie, at least for that scene. But it's funny because that's the whole game is like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, it works. It's just, like I said, I think the Super Nintendo was just so much more safer in terms of level design and what it is. I think it's like you said, it's like a great example. It's like a 16-bit version of the Disney afternoon games.
Yeah.
Which there's nothing wrong with. It's still great. It's just, I think, especially playing these back to back, I have to prefer the Genesis one. Like the levels, there's 10 levels. All of them are pretty difficult, but I think they're all pretty damn good. Like I said, the rug ride was really cool. Inside the Lamp was really great. Sultan's Palace, this was the level before the last one. Pretty freaking hard because it's a lengthier level and it's really vertical. Like that's definitely one thing that's different between the two versions is this Genesis one has a lot more verticality in their levels.
Yeah.
Which I think is a good thing. But again, it's like, it just reminds you of Earthworm Jim in so many ways, which again, it makes sense because it's Virgin. And then Jafar's Palace, the last boss, I thought he was a lot harder than he was. And it turns out that like, you could just like kind of stay away and throw apples at him. If you run out, if you just scroll the screen a little bit, it spawns more apples, and you just throw apples at the Cobra a few times, just hop and jump. So I figured that out. So that's why it's like, this game's really hard, but I think there's ways, I'm sure, like speedrunners, they've definitely have, beaten the game pretty handedly. But for the normal person, like I think it's just if you replayed enough, like you'll kind of learn, but there's still definitely some cheapness in there.
So you still fight Jafar as a snake in the Sega one?
Yeah, so you fight him as Jafar, and it's weird. He's got like this, it's like almost like it's not a beam, but like he has this attack that kind of pulls you towards him, which you can get hit. And all you have to do is just like, hold the opposite way to stay away from him. And you could also turn to throw apples at him, because that's the thing too, is like the animations are so good in this game that it takes, a moment for you to change direction when you're jumping. Like you have to wait for Aladdin to completely turn the other side and then throw the apple, which takes time because there's a wind up.
Yeah.
So that's...
And an arc.
Yeah. So it's like once you figure the rhythm of doing that, like the last boss isn't that difficult. And then when he turns into a Cobra, it gets hard because the platforms you were jumping on now spit fire if you're staying on them too long. Too long meaning like half a second. So with the scrolling thing, like that's one thing that the reviewers pointed out, and I didn't notice it as a kid, but I do notice it now where on the Genesis version, like the scrolling kind of, it's weird. Like it get jerky. Like there's times where I couldn't see most, the front part of the level or, the next section level. And I would just tap forward and like it would recenter it, which would just make the jumping easier for whatever reason. So I don't know what the deal with that is. It's really weird. It wasn't apparent in the Genesis, or excuse me, the Super Nintendo version.
Man, I wish I had known that, because there were some parts where I was like, why isn't this far enough out ahead of me for me to know where I'm going next?
And what you could also do that I found out late in the game, I only found out, well, it's basically like 3/4 of the way through in the Genie Lamps level. If you hold down, you can scroll the screen down.
Oh, that I did find out.
Yeah, so I found that out way too late. I was like, what? Like this, because I was like, there's some blind jumps in here. What is this nonsense? And it turns out that they do give you some tool to kind of, survey the area.
And you can hold up. Aladdin will look up.
Yeah, he'll look up too. Yeah.
Scroll up a little.
And then that's when I would, like previous to that, I was going left and right to kind of scroll the screen forward a little bit. But it's weird because as Aladdin was running, like he would go towards the front of the screen, and that's when you reorient yourself to center it on you again.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's like a technical issue or what it was, but it was definitely kind of awkward on this run through when I was going through it. So I think that really covers it. Like we went through both games on here.
Oh, one last thing that I do not like about the Sega one.
Oh yes,
the little bonus things at the end.
I like those.
Well, I like a booze where he's got the knife and you're constantly hitting the things that are falling down. But the Genie one, compared to the Super Nintendo, like Super Nintendo, you always win something.
Yeah.
like an extra continue or a life.
Because it's like
something.
a roulette wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Genie spins. There's like a wheel that spins, and Genie points to one of your prizes, which could be like it's two extra lives, one extra lives. There's like an extra continue, and I forgot what the other thing is.
Continues are helpful.
Yeah.
Whereas in the Sega one, it's that sort of a slot machine type thing, and you've collected the red gems throughout the level, and that gives you a certain amount of plays, a certain amount of spins, until you hit a Jafar face, and then you lose everything. Every single time I hit Jafar on the first one.
Did you?
I could have had 6 rubies, and I lost them all immediately. I never won anything from that bonus game.
That's funny because I didn't have more issues until later on because I was actually doing pretty well with those gems. That's why I didn't really get game over because I was collecting lives from those things.
I was like, why is this here? That's why I had to use save states more because I wasn't getting lives from that thing.
Yeah, I was getting lives, but there was a point where it seemed that there was more, like the Jafar head would come up more often. And I would hit that. And I was like, all right, well, there goes my 6 gems I collected, right? Like, I get nothing out of it. And the Super Nintendo one, by comparison, like, yeah, it's a lot more fair, I would say, because... But it's funny, because it's like, I wish the Genesis version did have the one where it's like, you're almost guaranteed to get extra bonuses, right?
Yeah.
Because that game needs it more than the Super Nintendo one
does.
The Super Nintendo one does not need... Like, it is so generous with lives and health.
The Super Nintendo one could have taken those red gems that you collect, 10 or more in every world... and done that for the roulette thing, or not the roulette, the one that Sega had, and I would have been fine with, oh darn it, I lost it right away because whatever, this is easy. Yeah, and like you said, in Sega, it needs the guaranteed win.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, I think the Sega one, like if I was to rate it out of 10, I definitely would have to say it's an 8 out of 10, like no bones about it for me.
Yeah.
Because it would be a 10 out of 10 if it had tighter control and collision, because that's really what I think kind of holds it back in some regards. And it's not even holds it back that much, but it's definitely noticeable. And with a game that's pretty difficult, like I'm not saying this is contra difficult, but it could get pretty damn hard because the levels are lengthy and, you can get hit pretty freaking easily and often. Like the bomb skeletons in the in the Sultan's dungeon. Like those skeletons would just explode off screen, and their bones would hit you out of nowhere. It's like, well, how am I? You can't avoid that unless you hit them first, and you don't know they're there.
If I happen to see them, they never surprise me too much. But if I happen to see them, I would just mash the sword swinging button because he would eventually like knock the bones away.
Yeah,
but yeah, like there was one time where it exploded, and I didn't realize that each individual bone can hurt you.
Yep.
I think I died because like 4 of them hit me, and I was done. I was like, wait.
Yeah, you brought up something too. I think it's cool that you could slash away projectiles with the scimitar sword.
Yeah,
but it can be difficult to do. And there's times where I did accidentally kill an enemy. Like I think it was like a fish in one of the later. Actually, at Sultan's Palace, there's like these fish that spit these little like bubbles at you or rocks. I don't know what they are. And you could I was swinging just to get them away because I was like low on health, and it actually hit it and it killed it. I was like, oh, I didn't realize you could kill enemies with ricocheted.
Where's my achievement unlock on that?
Yeah, come on now. So I guess, yeah, in conclusion, Deucy, it sounds like you prefer the Super Nintendo version.
I am still a Super Nintendo kid.
That is so funny.
Like, I agree with you on the Sega rating. I would give it an 8 out of 10, but then I would give the Super Nintendo a 9. It's not a perfect 10. It's a little easy, but it's also better than Lion King later, where that's impossibly hard.
Impossible on both of them, yeah.
But yeah, this one still beats out the Sega one for me. But I do really enjoy the artwork, the art style, and everything about it. Yeah,
so for me, I would say the Super Nintendo one would be like an 8 out of 10. And that's like a really good, really solid 8. Because there's nothing wrong with the game at all. Like it's a perfectly fine game. Like it's a platforming game. It's cut and dry. It's gorgeous. It sounds gorgeous. But beyond the fact that I also grew up with the Genesis one more because I bought that and rented it. And then I eventually rented the Super Nintendo one at Blockbuster because Warehouse didn't have Aladdin on Super Nintendo for whatever reason. So once I got that, I was like, oh God, this is so much easier. It's like, but I knew it was a cool game. Like I still enjoyed it. But the Aladdin Genesis one, like the music, the sound, God, especially the animation and graphics, like it is just, I would say it is the Genesis masterpiece easily. Like it's definitely one of the top 5 Genesis games that you could find as far as looks and music and everything like that. And it's, and rightfully so. Like it's the number 3 best-selling Genesis game,
Yeah.
And then for speedruns, so before speedruns, I put a couple on here. So there was a couple. So for Genesis, there was an any percent record by SVIPUR. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Like, is it Zvpur?
S Viper?
S Viper, yeah, they finished the game in 10 minutes and 48 seconds, and then the Super
What?
Nintendo version, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know how they did that. I have to look that up because
What?
that is like 10 levels. That's like a minute per level.
And oh my god, I couldn't even beat the first level in 10 minutes.
I don't know if I could have either. I'm not sure. Like 10 minutes seems ridiculous. And interestingly enough, the Super Nintendo version, any percent run by Lay Hulk, was done in 16 minutes. So
that I can believe.
that I can too. But I mean, like that has less stages. Technically, it has 7.
I mean, if you just run, you don't even bother. You could probably jump because of that forward momentum jump.
Mm-hmm.
You could definitely chain together a bunch of parkour moves and get through the levels.
Oh,
quicker.
definitely. There were some levels where I basically just coasted through the sky because like I was just hopping over and over everything.
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't have to do anything.
And then you get the sheet and you fly.
And that's what I did. I just glided through most of the level, which again, it's like it's not a bad thing, but it's like when you compare that to the levels of the Genesis version, like the Genesis version, I think just trounces the Super Nintendo in terms of level design and everything else. But again, like you can't go wrong with either version. Like I would recommend both. If I was to recommend one, it would definitely be the Genesis one, just because of how good it is.
If you can, buy them both.
Yeah, actually, I forgot to get prices on these. Actually, I know the Genesis one is dirt cheap complete. It's like $15 somewhere around there.
That's a shame.
Yeah, I know.
But it's third best selling.
That's the third best selling. It's like
everywhere.
Sonic, yeah. And the Super Nintendo version, if you want a cart, I believe it's like $20 or so for just a cart. And then the box version is like 50 to 80, somewhere around there.
Oh, wow.
But beyond that, like we mentioned earlier in the show, like you just go get the Disney, classic games collection. Like it has like Lion King on there. It's got Jungle Book. It's got a ton of great games on there. If you don't go the emulation route, obviously. But
what blew my mind in that collection is the Game Boy versions.
That's right. They include the Game Boy ones on there. Yeah.
Which I didn't even know existed growing up.
Yeah. Well, I had the Game Gear Aladdin, and I remember enjoying it. I don't remember too much about it though. That's all. But I don't think is that on the Disney?
No, it's not on the collection.
Right? Yeah, that's surprising.
That'd be helpful.
Yeah.
But I think that one's completely different. It's not Capcom or Virgin, I don't think.
Oh, I have to look that up. I wonder who did that one then. Yeah. But the Disney Classic Games Collection, they also added a little bit of a bonus for the Genesis one. They added a Final Cut version that has some new areas. I guess it changed up some of the boss patterns and some of the graphical effects. I didn't play this. Did you get to try that version at all? Is it unlockable or was it?
It's right off the bat. It's available, and I think I played it a little, but I wasn't too familiar with the original, so I didn't know the differences. I was just like, oh, it's more Aladdin. I
didn't get it on there, so I'm curious to see how different that is. So I think that really does it for our show today. If you have anything to sort of argue with us about what version you think is best, I think I might be more in the right, just trying to be objective. But subjectively, I definitely would say the Genesis version is. But if you have anything to say or let us know what you think, send us a note at LegionGamingPod@gmail.com. You can find us on X and Twitter at LegionGamingPod, and of course on Instagram at LegionGamingPodcast. Deucy, any final Disney-tastic words for our listeners?
Oh, well, they're not Disney-tastic, but they are fantastic for us. Literally fan.
Emphasis on fan.
Yeah, thanks to hitting us up on our social media and everything. We got a letter for us here today. It says, "Good morning. I just wanted to send a quick message and say how much I'm enjoying your podcast so far. Work for me this past week was basically 8 days straight of brain-melting work. We had 2 manager supervisors out, and I was at the shop pretty much nonstop. But I got a chance to listen to all the episodes, and it was super nostalgic and fun. We must be pretty much the same age. I remember when my dad worked part-time at night at a little video rental store in Salinas named Dial-A-Video, which...
I don't remember that place.
I don't remember either. I've never heard of that one.
I'm always a Video Express.
And he would bring home games before other kids got to rent and play them, which sounds awesome.
It does. That early access.
It was the best. Can't wait to listen to more episodes. Oh, and side note, you both have great podcast voices. Mike and Randy's aren't bad or anything, but you and Don have great balance between you. And that's from Jaylene in Oregon.
I appreciate that, Jaylene. It's very nice. Especially because Deuce and I are always talking about how critical we are of our own voices.
I know.
So it's good to hear.
I do hear a lot that we balance each other out well.
I think that's true, but also might have a lot to do with the fact that we've known for each other for 31 freaking years, which is pretty insane.
It just comes naturally at this point.
It does, yeah. That was a very nice letter, Jaylene. Thank you so much. It's nice. Like, we do this podcast for fun, but we always like to... our things, like, we like to talk about games a lot. So it's cool when we get people who like to listen to it and don't think we're boring and think that we're just riffing off fun things,
And, I mean, we hang out with a lot of our friends and everything, and I don't feel like we talk as much in big social settings about games. So at least now they get a little look into both of us.
Oh yeah, they do. Well, yeah, they maybe more so me because they know I won't shut up about games either. Especially, I mean, just rumor alone. But yeah, it's great that we have a little platform for people to listen to and maybe get a little bit of a nostalgic fix because I definitely live off those too.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you for listening. Please enjoy your day. Let us know if you have any comments, suggestions, or feedback. We love it. Thank you all.